You.
United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Rich?
Not much this morning. I think that, so I think the last time I was at a meeting with you, we were talking about motor graders and whatnot. I happened to stumble along another deal, but I think that it's tough when you run two counties that you get needs in both counties, but I think the John Deere motor grader is one that might fit our fleet a little bit better. So we might go ahead with purchasing that. I bumped into a really good deal on a cat motor grader too, and I have a need in Mitchell County for a cat motor grader, so we might just, it's nice that I got my name on two machines that I can get right now instead of waiting 8 to 10 months. So just an update on that. We do have, I got a resignation from an employee a week and a half ago. I wasn't able to pay last week, but since we had since we were taking applications prior to right around the start of winter, we've been getting applications in rolling all winter. So we'll look through the pool of applications that we have, and we'll look to do some interviews and get somebody on board again this spring. Just so you guys were.
Any coming from mechanic position role?
No, one employee, one prospect has applied, who has a mechanic background. I've talked to the individual, but I never got back to him last week to kind of discuss what he would be even interested in it yet. We don't really have an official mechanic applicant yet. So, and we've got Mark doing a great job of fixing what we need fixing. He's been doing a really good job of getting stuff in and out. So appreciate his efforts and stepping up and doing it. But when we get snow, we don't have a mechanic. So, but for now, he's getting us by, and I really appreciate him stepping up to help us out. So it's been good, and we probably need to restructure some of the wages with some of that stuff. Something to look at here in the future with mechanic wages versus operator wages and things like that. Just because I don't know that we're kind of in the ballpark with wages there. We just went through union negotiations in Mitchell County, and I kind of know where surrounding counties are at with wages, and I don't think any county wages are even on par with private wages when it comes to even mechanics, but we may need to reevaluate wages on that end of it. Other than that, I think we're okay. So nobody yet, but we are getting by, and we are working with our manufacturer dealer reps for larger equipment repairs that we can't do in-house. So about all I've got for you for an update.
Anything else, guys?
Any updates on the Silver Lake junkyard?
I gotta check with Russ, because I know we sent a letter out,
Yeah, I can't remember.
and then I wanted to send the letter out. I thought I had him send it out certified, but we didn't have a receipt for it, so I wanted to send a second letter out with the certification, so we knew. And I'll check when I get back up there to make sure we get something sent out, because I want to make sure that that individual has something in hand before I start making stuff out of there.
Right.
Out of our right of way, you know. So that way they can say that we've got confirmation that they know about it.
I was just thinking about it.
I was just thinking about it too.
Schedule storm coming, but
I was just thinking about it too. The other day, and
no, that's fine.
been in the back of my head, but I know we gotta get it squared away.
You should do it on his own. You shouldn't have to.
I think today will be I think the letting today for our asphalt paving project on Thrush is this morning, so.
Okay.
We'll know later on what prices are at for paving.
Anything else?
What's that? No, I don't think we'll get all of we won't get all the contract stuff back, and it'll take a couple of weeks, so. Just kind of,
They just have an idea on numbers though.
I'll have an idea on numbers for cold place recycle, so.
Good.
All right, thanks.
Drainage claims, I see. Did you guys all get a chance to look at the adjustments to them and everything?
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the drainage claims?
Motion to approve drainage claim?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on them? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims.
Make a motion to approve the claims.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Payroll. Make a motion to approve the payroll claims here.
Is there a motion to approve the payroll claims?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any reports, Jackie?
Nope.
How about payroll eligibility, verification of salary changes?
Nope.
Liquor license?
Nope.
Consider for the approval employee wage increase for FY 24.
What we discussed.
And that budget, budget workshop, and we're kind of thinking 6% is all the further we want to go with Worth County employees.
Gotcha. That's what you have for discussion with the budget workshop, 6%.
So we need a motion to cut the compensation board recommendations by 50%.
Well, that's on the board.
Yes,
Okay.
this would be employees.
Employees.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we'll be at 6% at the most on
Next.
Max.
their raises. Or you wanted their
Oh,
bottom line budget not to change any more than that amount.
do you want to do that? Where they, if they want to give their employees like a percent or more to get them up to where they want them, but it comes out of their bottom
Bottom line
number.
budget.
Their budget does not change from right now.
Right.
Using that 6%.
They have to take it, if they go above that, they have to take it out of something else.
Yep, we gotta take it out of something else.
Word that motion.
It seems right, cause it's just, you know, I've seen some places doing 4% and some places doing, yeah, in a week 10%, but 6 seems fair.
Or is this year, that's too confusing, let's just go 6 across the board. What do you want to do?
And you gotta
Well,
leave out people that have their own boards and all
Yeah,
that
right,
good stuff
that's true.
too, so it's just whoever is non-union, non-elected. Am I saying it right, Dan?
yeah,
It's
Mainly
all,
it
it's
is
all a
the-
crapshoot right now anyway.
So you're talking hourly employees basically.
Yeah. So that would affect your guys.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Or you're giving us the option as long as our budget didn't change.
right. You've got.
So if I budgeted a higher percentage.
Yeah.
You're okay with that
Right.
as long as it doesn't change higher. Is that what you're saying?
That's what we were talking about doing.
Try not to change that, what we've already looked at the bottom line figures. But yet giving you a little bit of flexibility. You know,
So if you
First-
weren't at 6% the first time around,
You're good.
you'll want to show, or you'll want to know what your 6% level is, and then adjust from there.
On your bottom, yeah, you're
Yeah,
So basically, if you came in at $1 million at 8%. Take it down to 6%, that leaves you at 900,000. You cannot go above 900,000. But if you want to adjust that 6% higher, you gotta take it from somewhere else. Take it out of a different.
Category, budget, so
Mhm.
out of it.
Right.
I'm just debating how confusing that is to them.
to the,
Departments.
I don't think it's confusing at all. I mean, it's
Shouldn't
kind of
be.
like putting a, say we're not allowing the budget to grow more than a certain percent. I mean, we talked and just wording this so it's not confusing is a word.
Yep.
If you
So if I
plugged in the
budget, if I
6%,
budgeted for, let's just say, throw a number, say if somebody budgeted 10%, you're saying 6. That gap,
drop it down to that.
you're saying drop it down to 6, but you have to figure out where to get the
But
other
if you could
4%.
find that difference somewhere else in the budget, I mean, and that's,
Okay.
we don't wanna do that either.
In other words, you gotta cut someplace else in your budget to make it work.
Right,
Again, yeah.
Is that from last year's budget or?
No, this year.
It's from the projected 6% salary. Right, but I put in a little more for cars and, you know. Cause cars went up, so I added like $5,000 in there for that, which would go into the bottom line.
Let's just say 6%.
Let's just do, yeah, I think,
I think you're.
because somebody
probably-
that's got fat in there can go, oh. We'll just
Go to
lower it down
10.
to where it should have been.
Which, yeah, you don't wanna encourage that going forward. but-
Yeah, you don't wanna,
Something that-
yeah, I think we just ought to do 6.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then you've got a resolution down here.
Okay, this is just an agreement with DNR that we've signed forever. Sorry, I didn't get to it by the time. They just wanted to, it's the same dollar amount. We have to have 6,600 and some, or I don't know what it was, 6,000 something dollars in a fund if we had to close the recycling center.
yeah,
And that's just what we're agreeing to with the DNR. It's already agreement. That doesn't, that nothing's changed except for, Randy noticed that Kenny was still on there and he wanted it freshened up.
gotcha.
$6,611.
Is that the?
So this is identical to what we've done in the past. I really don't need to read it.
Just a
No,
name
not really.
change.
It's something we do every 3 years and it's gotta be certified, so
Yeah, so you wouldn't have done it before.
he contacts me, because he's got,
Okay.
according by the code, you gotta have an engineer sign off on it.
Yep.
I don't know why an engineer's gotta sign off for some simple math, but that's the way the code reads, so.
You guys are mathematicians.
Yeah, right?
And you basically determine the amount that needs to be in that account, right? Kind of, sort
Do
of.
I? Yeah, I guess if you wanna say that, I do, but he gets all the numbers, he knows what all his numbers are, he does the math, I check it. I review it, it's done, it's just kind of it's every 3 years.
So I will
So
make,
I need a motion to approve resolution number 2023-03.
Citizens Convenience Center Closure Fund. I will make that a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Smeby,
Aye.
Stone,
Aye.
Lowberg, aye. Motion carries.
Morning, Heidi.
Good morning.
I didn't want them.
They're all different. I don't know.
Yep.
Did I skip you?
Yeah, we all get something.
I
I
guess.
got paper. We're going every direction here. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Now I have an addendum to the law enforcement agreement with Joyce.
The last one.
I will make a motion to approve the addendum agreement.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the addendum. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That one, guys.
we are down to board appointments. I got a hold of Dan Reeder and he said yes to eminent domain. He will stop in your office either today or tomorrow and pick up an application and fill it out for you.
Yeah.
How about NICOG?
Mandy's got a meeting tonight, so I'm sure they'll discuss it. Okay, but I did talk to the mayor and he was gonna, said he'd get back to me, so whether he does it or to find a council member to do it. Hopefully we can hear something after their meeting tonight, maybe.
Gotcha.
Could we call Renee quick
Yes.
and set up
Yes.
the meeting? I know it's not on here, but you're not.
We're setting up time, right?
You. We're trying to. Hey Renee, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. Okay. Can you hear everybody?
Fair enough.
They do. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Can you tell me who is all in the room?
All three supervisors, our IT guy, oh, and Dan. our
Okay.
sheriff, our IT guy, our, engineer, somebody from the assessor's office and somebody from Northland Securities.
Okay.
We just
Well,
need to
and
set up a meeting time.
Yeah.
Okay, so a meeting regarding.
Oh, and it's live, if you didn't know that. We're on
Yeah,
Zoom.
just wanted to make sure what we're. So when you say a meeting time, you mean with, the board and me to,
And Dan, right?
and Dan, of course, yes.
Yeah,
Is that what?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, meeting.
Cause I'm guessing we need to get the ball rolling on all this.
Well, yes and no. I think that's what we need to, I think that's what we need to discuss.
Okay,
Because there's some, there's procedures, there's a bargaining law in Iowa, and there's procedures to follow, so I think that's what we need to go through. So what are you guys looking at as far as doing that?
we gotta be at least 24 hours out for public notice,
Okay.
and that might get us in the storm.
We do it, do we have to do it this week? We do it next week?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure, since this comes under bargaining, I don't think this really needs the, this probably falls under the provisions, in chapter 20 that exempts bargaining strategy meetings. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's, part of the agenda, because I don't know how we're going to talk about this without, talking about where the county is, from the bargaining standpoint. So it's not really appropriate to do that in a public meeting.
Would that be a separate meeting or a closed session or?
Yeah, I mean, it can be closed. It can be a separate meeting.
It's whatever you recommend.
Yeah, and I know there's more of you to schedule, so
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get you on.
yeah.
Since
So
there's a bad,
what's your schedule today? Are you there like all day? Do you want to do it after your meeting? I've got a couple appointments today, so I'm not sure that's gonna work, but
do we have to worry about 24
Well-
hours notice though, Renee?
I mean, I think this is, and because we're talking about bargaining and the procedures of bargaining and that kind of thing, I don't know that this would be something that would be, appropriate to do in an open meeting, that it would fall under that exempt status. If it ends up, we start talking about something that, isn't, we can certainly just, reschedule and, do it, but I don't know how we're gonna have this discussion without talking about, you know, bargaining proposals and positions and that kind of thing.
How about next week at like 11:30? We've got some
Next
drainage,
Monday,
we've got some drainage at 9:30 and 9:45. But we can go after that, it's just annexation and reclassification for 2 districts. Would that work next week, next Monday?
A conference call with Buchanan County, they said somewhere around 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
and it's set up a Zoom too, if somebody doesn't wanna.
Do you,
I mean, I'd be good with that day, I mean, yeah,
I
whatever.
mean, we can go after lunch, what about
How
afternoon,
about after lunch?
After lunch on,
the 27th,
27th.
next Monday?
does that work for you, Renee?
that should work.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, yeah,
Put us down for 1 o'clock then.
okay. So Jackie, why don't you call me on this number again?
Sure.
Cause there's more of you to gather together.
Okay,
And,
I'll call you after the meeting's over, it'll be a little.
sounds good.
Okay, thanks Renee.
Very good, thank you.
Right.
Bye. Winworth Betco, Melissa, are you on?
Morning.
Oh.
I just touched base with that prospect that is interested at the interchange, and they're hoping to get the parcels updated on the beacon before moving forward. That's about all the information I have. And then this week, if I'm working on Friday, it'll just be for a couple hours in the morning. Otherwise, I'm gonna take off for the afternoon for vacation.
I'm working on the parcels, I'll be in touch with you.
All right, let me know if you need me to do anything.
People service, Chris, are you on? Oh. Department head discussion?
One of the new cars is in, the early. The other one I've been talking about will be until after July 1, but they said if we didn't want them, that they get. The Northwood City Council approved the asbestos removal from the old satellite office, that's $15,000. They're going to start getting that out. As far as what else is happening. Just insurance company. They're having discussions. It's probably best. We've been talking.
Anybody else?
You guys been keeping up on the Senate bill deal somewhat.
Did you watch yesterday?
No, I didn't.
I chose to have a good day.
We didn't get any update from anybody, so I think anything happened. I mean, I know that something is so.
Really, I'm all for I will, don't get me wrong.
No, this, the 11/24 does nothing to do it.
Is that 11/25? You know, that seems like they're grabbing stuff to get this thing to try to. Yeah.
And that's. And our state council. Obviously, everyone's gonna be. It's a big deal.
That's a lot of people around about side of the keep watching, I guess, see what they tell us next, right?
Mark Tomlinson said he is waiting for Jim Moody's decision on the safety training for the mall. He hopes to know by 2 p.m. today. Okay. And if it's postponed due to weather, he will blast out an email. Seems good. Thanks, Mark.
Storm isn't coming till tomorrow.
Yes,
Supervisors Weekly Report. I had Partners for Children, and we're still in the process with a new director. Kind of getting financials in order. And we still gotta try to get mentoring programs and abuse programs and to get some of those. And then there was an open house for North Iowa Long-Term Disaster Relief Committee. And it wasn't a big showing there. Didn't go over as well as I thought it should, but it hasn't in other places either. And then I did meet with Eric and problems. A lot of discussions, and that's about my. I had my done a simple meeting. Executive committee members, from Mitchell County. Franklin. So kind of got them up to speed on everything. Still been on a bunch of stuff, so just get moving to something. Show the ropes.
Central Iowa. Just to couple of us meet with the board to more insight on what's going on. We discussed a lot of discussions. Says she didn't get qualified. I brainstorm a little better way, you know, other than just. Different kind of benefits. Discuss that. Also discuss the continued struggle, state, child, intervening in almost. Again, long-term stay at kids are lots of struggles. We also talk about upcoming budget stuff. Move some of that discussion we had a little bit. Getting it done more than it's good. Should stay more involved in that. It's always meetings, always changes. Lots of good things. We toured the new building that we're working on. Losing a lot of revenue because that's not done. Remember, I believe. Hoping to get that up and running. Didn't remember. That's other than.
We skipped over any budget discussion because you were down.
No, that's.
You just put that on. I guess the only thing we have left is at 9 o'clock. So I have no problem with going earlier.
Whole minute. Whole minute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
You ready for this storm to come in?
Sure.
What are you guys expecting? Well, that's what it looks like.
That's Iowa 60.
I heard a quarter inch of ice.
Well, I saw something here, it was 2 feet. So we'll see what ends up. we'll go ahead and meet here this morning.
I just keep going, so.
Got it last week. Well,
It doesn't happen.
yes, he's understood. Today. It's importance of actions. Put some of the projects into the community. And so now it's looking at, it's a good time to look at borrowing some money for some of those projects. Really today, I want to just update you on TIF cash flow, to talk about a scenario borrowing some for some of the just that we're putting into that community. And we talk about what that cash flow looks like forward to continue to fund the other projects to courthouse, jail, and the pipeline project. The good thing is that right now we have only one bond outstanding, the 2015 bonds, which is a combination of your 10 and your 11 bonds. Those are currently callable as of July 1 of this year. And so my recommendation would be, in order to kind of free up those payments to 2026, as the county has those funds on hand, to pay off that 2015 bond completely as of July 1 this year. It'll save you about just under $100,000 in interest.
Isn't that a better interest rate than what we get right now?
Yeah, you can't refund or refinance.
But I mean, wouldn't we want to keep money if it's at a lower rate?
Well, so here's the thing: is you've got the cash on, the cash on hand. You have a TIF overage. You've been collecting more, and so you're getting to the point where those are going to be. You can pay those off. There's only really 3 years left on them. You can pay them off early. Now that call date's come, and it's getting to the point where you don't have any debt outstanding. So it's time to take in the first steps, but it's time to issue bonds for some of these projects so you can continue to work to TIF. So one, pay off those bonds, one, to draw down on that TIF fund that you got, and two, go into debt so you can continue to collect TIF. That's just kind of an overview. I'll show you this first page here is where you're at today, showing the estimated property taxes of the 2 wind farms, the new wind farm that's not this fiscal year 2024, it's starting at 5%, 24.5. You'll see that green column, that's the combined TIF revenue based off of estimated consolidated tax rate of $2. So you'll see that, coming up here.
But also in 28 or 29, 30 and 31, 32, you're having those other farms falling off as those 20 years are up. So really, we're going to be kind of in the sweet spot of collecting TIF between 24, 25 through 30, 32, where you have the most TIF dollars available. And you want to make sure that if you want to continue to collect 100% of it or a portion of it, that you have that debt outstanding to collect it. The board certainly has the projects in the urban renewal plan to do that if those projects are still the intention of the board. To the right there, you'll see the just the remaining debt outstanding for the 2015 A bonds. And then the remaining TIF available. So as you currently stand, you have about 63% of the total. You have about 63% available, the total. These numbers are very very conservative. There's a few things going on in the legislature about changing rollbacks on commercial industrial. Also, we know that some of the state replacement dollars that the county has been receiving will be going away. So if you look at these numbers and they look a little bit lower, I've taken into account, conservative dollars, taking out the state replacements and, knowing that some of those rollbacks could change going forward. So this is kind of a conservative number. If I looked at it as of today, you're probably, instead of looking at a total of 67 million, you're probably like 70 to 75 million. So. All makes sense, all fun. Page 2, what I've added is a $6 million borrowing in calendar 2023, assuming that's for road and bridge projects that have been put into the urban renewal plan, and what that cash flow would look like, assuming that $6 million borrowing. Right to the right of that blue box is an estimated payment schedule. I'm assuming I put about 0.5% cushion in here based off of your A-rated rates, that you'd have payments of about $875,000 through 2030. Which, if you go with 3 columns over and look at that remaining TIF column, that leaves you the cushion in order to start payments for whether you're looking at doing the moving forward on courthouse, jail, or also the guarantee for the pipeline project too. So you'll see that there's quite a bit of TIF carryover still with the $6 million borrowing, if you want to start those projects in the next 2 years. I want to make sure that when we're structuring this debt, that you are paying it off relatively quickly, but have the flexibility for the other things that are outstanding there. You have a lot of TIF cash flow. The way I have this set up is that really within another 2 years, you'd be looking at doing another borrowing again, to continue to collect the max amount of TIF, because we're in those sweet spots where the 100% of that wind farms are coming on. We've got all 3 coming on in the next few years. We can shorten those up a bit. However, I don't know if a little bit of feedback from the board is, the intentions of, are you planning to kind of sit for a while, or some of these other projects, how quickly are some other projects moving forward, and are there other roads and bridges? And I know that I'm sure there are.
Go on and always has. Yeah.
Well, we're basically still hanging until we know about that $10 million, right?
Yeah, you're kind of hanging. So, that's where I put you about an 8-year payback. You could, with the cash flow you have, you could pay things off in 3-4 years, but I want you to be able to have TIF cash flow, should you have to, drop the dime to guarantee that,
Hopefully we never have to pay that money, but we're
gonna have to have debt a little bit more extended than, knowing that guarantee is
This
there.
would be assumable that if they did default, they should be able to pick up the loan and spread it out over years.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be $8 million all at once.
Yes.
You still have to leave it out there available.
You have to leave it out there available. The trick is because you're not actually going into any type of debt. So that's where, I have your debt a little bit extended, knowing that if something, if you don't have to guarantee it, then you're going to have to continue to have, other debt going. So you're continually collecting that TIF.
and it kind of makes it hard to know when we can go with new debt too.
Mhm. But as the years go on, they'll be making the payments, and we'll continue to do, some smaller borrowings to keep that cash flow going. And then once that, so this, you'll see that I've got kind of that 8-year schedule for you that gives you that flexibility there. Now, what does that look like from a timing standpoint? What do we need to know? I put together a just a rough calendar of events. As when you're going into borrowing, there's steps that need to be taken. We've done the urban renewal. We've done the urban renewal plans amendment. In a couple weeks, I'd have the board set a date for a hearing. In that hearing, there is a not to exceed number of the borrowing that we'd include. If the board, we can talk a little bit about what that not to exceed number is. We want to make that, if you're looking at that $6 million number, you may want to put like a 6.1 in there, just for cushion's sake. Then you publish the notices in the paper and you hold the hearing on April 3rd. On a $6 million number, we'll be looking at going through that rating process with S&P for your current outstanding rating. And we've set up that rating call shortly after you hold that hearing. Once that rating comes back, then that kind of gives you the ability to go into the market. In between the time of receiving the rating, there's an approval of an official statement document, which is the offering document that goes out to potential investors. And you approve that on April 17th, which would then give you the clear to lock in interest rates. Having you lock in interest rates on May 1st. Board has one further action, issuance, which issuance is just kind of the signing on the dotted lines and closing as is. Around that time, I also would be having a resolution on there for you to call those 2015 bonds. So a month, then a month later, you'll be paying off those 2015 bonds and having the bonds in place. That's kind of a short version of how that works. You'll be working with your bond counsel. Bond counsel will put together all of these resolutions so they go on the agenda appropriately. I've left kind of a little bit of cushion in time if for any type of hiccup, but this would really get your funds in place by the end of May, ready for the summer timeframe. Does that look like?
Yes, sir. We got a lot going on. Yeah. We've got a project going to bid today, so but that's federal money. That's not local money.
Yeah.
We'll know what our estimate. Right.
The other thing that things that we kind of need to know today so we can come back in a couple weeks, get things rolling, is one, the not to exceed number, and then just confirming the roads and the bridges that would be included in the 6 million. And so we can communicate those with bonds counsel and get those going forward for you. Another thing I just provided just for more informational purposes of where interest rates are at kind of today. We are expecting that rates will go up in the short term. So did put some cushion on those, for that. For that cash flow purpose there. For the purpose of these bonds, these are bank qualified tax exempt bonds. So we're looking at that first column with the green. And you're looking in the county currently has an A rating. So you're looking at that bright orange color, dark orange color. You'll see actually, rates for 2024 are higher than they are up until 2033. That's because the Fed has been hiking short-term rates as of the recent, but you'll see that even though, we're not at the rock bottom rates we saw a couple of years ago, rates are still fairly low. And so it is a good time to be borrowing, even looking 8 years out, that interest rate is not, it's in the 3 range. So,
It's not bad. Not really, no. That's not what I was expecting to see. So.
Looks like it was.
Right.
right. To the right of there, that's non-bank qualified debt. If the county is looking at issuing more than 10 million in a year, that's the rates that the county would receive. And then some projects, not the ones that the board has been looking at, are taxable. So you'll see those rates are much higher.
I mean, I think we're safe to go not to exceed 6 million. We know we got road projects, bridge projects.
I guess the question I would pose is, it's expected that you have bond proceeds spent within 3 years. Is it expected that those will be spent
spend it.
3 years?
You got
Perfect.
a bunch of small projects that we allocate on fairly.
I was gonna say, if our project don't gobble up to 6 million, we can find smaller ones.
Smaller ones too.
But it like the ones we've got on the list, and there's a bunch of box culvert type projects that we can definitely get started on.
Yep.
As with local lighting too. A lot of that stuff is local contractors, so we'll go fairly quick. And then now seeing after what we get for bids.
Once we get a
Today,
breakdown of bids,
then we know where we can go with our other road projects that are involved in that list also. So I think we're able to commit to that list of stuff we got, not to exceed 6 million.
The other thing is short-term rates are high now. So once you do receive those funds at the end of May, you can reinvest those proceeds to earn interest on those. You can't invest them in higher rates than what the county receives because they are tax incentive, but there is some ability. There hasn't been in the past years to make a little money on some of the proceeds you may not be spending right away. You have 6 to 12 months to invest. Typically look to invest with things, the things that you can only work with. Additional cash flow there, that's just wasn't there in the last few years.
Yeah, and I think we can pay off that other stuff, save 100,000 with the interest.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? I mean,
That's a big chunk of money.
It's a big chunk of money.
right.
And Jackie, that number is, I didn't print it out yet this morning, but it's 2,380,000 that you need to have for July. For June 1.
If you can get that to work, yeah, I'm gonna leave it something.
There is a 30-day notice, so like around at the end of mid-May timeframe, bond council put together a resolution to call those and let the investors know that you're going to call those. There are sometimes there may be a little bit of fees associated with it from the paying agent, possibly bond council, but it may be in the $1,000 range. So save 100,000.
Spend 2,000.
Yeah, spend $1,000 or $2,000. No fee from Northland. We'll just kind of work here, just kind of babysit the process. I'm sure it happens appropriately.
The only question I've got is with the pipeline guarantee, we need that money out there. So how does that? We'll have bond in the urban renewal, or we'll have expenses in the urban renewal plan. So we'll have money, a place for it to go. But we'd leave that out there because we have to have it available. And then it would roll back around again. This is all different the way we've done TIF in the past.
It's very different because it's in order to collect TIF debt, you have to have debt in place. And so that's why I'm extending some of that debt out that gives, otherwise I'd be having to have much shorter debt because. And
We need that debt hanging out there to show that we've got debt in place, but if they renege on that thing and we have to start making payments, we just won't do those projects.
Yeah. And then, my recommendation will be is as you finalize the details of that financing, that in that guarantee, you have some provisions to either one, bond for that payment to pay it all off, or restructure that debt. Just to give you some provisions in there. Legal counsel can get you the appropriate terminology, but give yourself some of that flexibility in that guarantee.
Anything else for Heidi? Thank you. Start the process.
You're welcome.
We're coming up.
Yeah, put that on the agenda next week, can we engage them to?
We came back in August and I had a letter in August when we talked about this before, when we started the urban renewal process. So I have that. I'll reach out to Dorsey and then they'll get things going. And I had it starting things the week after, just to give you a little time to, I know we have the $6 million number, but confirm the roads and everything's in the urban renewal plan and that 6 million. And so, and then in 2 weeks, we'll just set the date of the hearing and off to the races.
So it's good to be.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
I'm 8 minutes early.
Nice work. You're getting good at this.
It's taken care of.
Thank you. Next week's agenda items, any not on there? In that case, I take a motion to adjourn. So second, got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.